The international break is over. Thank God. For at least another 4 weeks anyway, but I don't care. It's back. Football's back. Domestic football and the Premier League, of course. And we kick it off, early kick-off, away to Tottenham, 12:30 on Saturday. A big game, a really big game. Big game not just for West Ham, but for Spurs as well. It just feels like the next few games now are going to dictate a lot of what's going to happen this season. And I feel like it's going to be a big test to see where we really are as a side now under Lopetegui and what we've learned so far from him, his system, etc. This is a big game. And of course, on the other hand, Spurs, they need to get going. They're under a bit of pressure following what happened against Brighton last time out for them. Of course, we're coming off the back of a 4-1 win over Ipswich. So I think it's got the makings of a really interesting game, this. Let's talk about Spurs first and talk about that Brighton game. I mean, they've been getting a lot of stick, Tottenham, for that. And I understand it. You know, I watched that game and the first half, they were comfortably the better side. It looked like it was going to be very much a comfortable Spurs win, actually, which was quite surprising considering away at Brighton. That's what you would expect, a very tough game, but it just felt like they were dealing with it very well. Brighton weren't quite at it either, but Spurs looked dangerous and were just taking their chances and looked good. Going into half-time, it just felt like Spurs were going to win the game. I just felt like that was the issue. I think Tottenham went into that second half believing they'd won, that they basically just had to go for the motions and they'd won the game. And I think that Brighton actually came out of a bit of determination to get back in the game. And Tottenham just imploded. They just could not handle it. And you could just sense the nerves going through the team, through the fans, etc., etc. And, you know, as a West Ham fan, of course, it was a joy to watch. But they've taken a lot of stick from it, and especially the manager, Postecoglou. I've got my theory on this in terms of him as a manager. I actually really like him. I think he's a decent guy. I like his style of football. I like the fact he's attacking. He likes to go for it. Ball on the ground. Very open sort of manager in terms of how he plays. You know, it's very much a high line attacking intent in the game, and I just think it's a joy to watch. Actually, I feel like Postecoglou at times has irked Spurs fans. I think sometimes I feel like last season, if you remember, there was a game when Spurs fans were kind of calling for Tottenham to lose because they didn't want Arsenal to go on and win the league, and he just couldn't get it. And I felt like, really, you should get it. You should say, look, I do understand the Spurs fans are feeling they don't want to see Arsenal win a title, but he got quite angry about it. And he's kind of done that quite a few times before. He dismisses rivalries at times. And that's actually just my personal take, by the way. If you're a Spurs fan watching this and say I'm completely wrong, feel free to put a comment in. I could be completely wrong here. But I feel like if I was a Spurs fan, and thank God I'm not, but, you know, if I was a Spurs fan watching that, you know, I would be annoyed if my manager was sort of dismissing a rivalry. And I will come to that in a minute because I do think Lopetegui sort of did something a little bit similar. We'll come to that in a minute. But I don't like that. You know what I mean? For me, rivalries are really important. It's part of the game. I don't like this whole, you know, being dismissed. We get the piss taken out of us because they go, oh, it's your cup final and all that. I don't like all that. You know what I mean? Just like, it's a rivalry and it should be an important game. Regardless, I like it should be for Tottenham. Playing West Ham should be an important game for them. They go, we want to get one over on them. They're our rival, one of our rivals. I don't get what the issue is. So I feel like with Postecoglou, he dismissing rivalries at times with Arsenal hasn't helped him. And I also do get my feeling is as well, what's going on at Arsenal at the moment in terms of the last couple of years. Of course, they've gone from this club that, let's be honest, are a bit of a laughing stock of the last 10 years. They've not really been challenging for titles. They've not really been taken seriously as a club. They've kind of just been a side getting into the Champions League with no real desire looking to go and win it. They've been, all right, they've picked up a few FA Cups along the way, but they've never looked aside Arsenal. I mean, challenging for honours, top honours, you know. And really, I felt that there was a shift around. It felt like Tottenham actually were becoming the more dominant side of North London. And of course, they got their new stadium. It felt like Tottenham were going in that direction, whereas Arsenal were doing this. And the last couple of years, that's changed. Arsenal have now invested so wisely. They've got the right manager in. They just seem now, they look a side that's gearing up to win titles. You know, they're challenging this season. They were close, obviously, last. They're a really strong side. And I just feel like Tottenham fans are just hating every second of it. And I feel like that frustration that they're feeling is now spilling out towards the current manager, to their owners. They're just not happy with the fact that they're not really, Arsenal moving beyond them, and quite considerably now. You know, look at Arsenal; they are a far more dominant side now than Spurs were. Of course, they've lost Harry Kane as well. I just feel like there's a lot of reasons for Spurs fans to feel annoyed and a bit bitter and a bit angry. Look, I'm not having a go, right? West Ham, we've been there. In fact, funny enough, with Tottenham, you know, we got relegated in 2003. The years in the 90s, many years we were above Tottenham. We were a good Premier League side, and we were finishing above Tottenham for a lot of the time. And Tottenham weren't really there. Obviously, we got relegated, and that we lost a lot of our players. Tottenham obviously bought a few of them. We lost Canute to them, Carrick, Defoe, all went over to Tottenham. It just felt like, and there was a big shift then. Tottenham then went on and started challenging the sort of top 6, top 4, while we were, you know, up and down and struggling. And, you know, it felt like the gap was huge. We've closed that gap. You know, West Ham have gone and won a trophy recently. So we've done well to do that. But my point is that I remember those years of just looking on with so much envy at Tottenham, thinking, why aren't we there? You know what I mean? Look at them challenging, look at them doing well, and look at them competing with the big sides. And while we're scraping around trying to stay in the Premier League at best. And I was envious, and I think a lot of fans were. It did build up that bitterness, that rivalry got fierce, you know. So once we started to compete with them, it's been a joy, you know. So I get it. I get why Tottenham are feeling that envy and anger, and I feel like that's a lot of what's coming on here. So that's why I feel like Postecoglou's he's under a lot of strain because of that. I feel like the Tottenham fans just want to see him now kick on and start challenging, and they're just not there at the moment. But that's not to say they're doing badly. I feel like that's a little bit blown out of proportion. They're not having a bad season or a bad start to it. They're doing okay, but of course, seeing them throw away a 2-0 lead, obviously being a West Ham fan, it's a joy. But you can see straight away the pressure's ramping up again on the Postecoglou. I mean, how long he'll last in that job, I don't know. I feel like he's a decent manager, to be honest. I wanted him at West Ham, and to be honest with you, I'd have him. You know, he's a decent bloke. So that's my feeling on him. In terms of their players, I mean, you've got Son coming back from injury. Looks like he's going to be playing, doesn't he, against West Ham, which is a bit of a shame. Such a vital player for them. But they're not the side of Tottenham. You look at them now. I mean, they've got a few decent players. Don't get me wrong, they have. But I think losing Harry Kane was a huge blow to them. Obviously, Son's aging a little bit now. You feel like he's certainly not quite his peak anymore. I think he's past that. Don't get me wrong, still a very good player, and it caused West Ham a lot of problems, of course. I'm not dismissing him, but I feel like there's a lot to be done there for them to start challenging. And if they want to be a side that's going to start competing with Arsenal and stuff, they've really got there's a lot of work to be done. But that's not to say they're a poor side. This is a tough game for West Ham. Let's make no mistake. Tottenham are going to be in the top 6 realm this season. I'm sure of it. And of course, they've got Brendan Johnson, I think, as well, worth noting before going to West Ham. I mean, having a great season, isn't he, under Tottenham? It feels like it's revival for him. Considering the fact as well, he was getting quite a lot of stick from Spurs fans early on in his days there. And I feel like he's turned a big corner now. I can't remember any game. I think it's 6 in 6. I think he scored something like that for them. Yeah, very much informed player. West Ham going to have to deal with him. But you know, as I say, I don't look at Tottenham and see a club in crisis. I don't see a big problem there. I feel like that the problem is, as I say, is Arsenal. That's their biggest issue. They're just so unhappy watching Arsenal challenge for titles, and they just know deep down that they've overtaken them quite considerably. And I think like it's that's where that boiling over frustration. And of course, as well, they've got an ownership that aren't helping matters. I mean, we've got the joint save our concessions, and they've got their save their pensioners or whatever it is. They've got another campaign going on themselves. I think we're joining forces this game. So there's a lot of reasons for frustration for them from Tottenham fans at the moment. And I feel like for West Ham's perspective, when we go into this game, we want to take advantage of that. You know, you feel like that's a place to go. If you can get an early goal or something, those fans will turn pretty quickly. It does feel like that. So it's a big opportunity for West Ham, but it's going to be a hell of a challenge, make no mistake. Let's go on to West Ham, though. I mean, off the back of a much improved display against Ipswich, it feels like a long time ago now. This international break came at a really bad time for us. We wanted that Tottenham game to come much faster because, obviously, Tottenham, as I said, losing to Brighton, but us performing like we did and getting that 4-1 win over Ipswich just lifted the mood, lifted the confidence levels. So it was frustrating. We've had now a 2-week break from that. But that being said, if I'm the manager, if I'm Lopetegui, I'll be reminding these players of that result and how well we played and keep that mood up. And we've got to go into this game with confidence. And why not? We've got a decent record as well away from home this season. Obviously, one beaten at the moment, having won as well at Crystal Palace. I mean, I just feel like we can go into this with some belief, I really do. And I feel like that Ipswich performance and result really did, I don't know, just sort of breathed a little bit of like, do you know what? If we can get this team clicking and it just get that confidence level up a little bit, we could start competing. We are a decent side nowadays. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ipswich at home is a game we should be winning, but they're no mugs. They're not a crap side. So I felt like it was a good performance and exactly what we needed. And I just really hope that we can keep that momentum going now. Let's build on that. We don't want to go step backwards and suddenly find ourselves back where we were. We've got to kick on. So this is a really important game. One big news story that's hanging around the club at the moment, has been hanging around for a long time, but it's just ramping up, of course, is the Lucas Paqueta situation. The players put out a statement. I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow morning before the game. I'll talk about that. And also I do have a video regarding the stadium as well, so that's going to be discussed in that video too. But regarding Paqueta, it's a big moment for him in his career. You can feel like this is all building on him, the pressure of what's happening here. I feel like it feels like the walls are closing in on him a little bit. He had a lot of backing, didn't he, in Brazil, from the Brazilian national team and also from the FA over there. They felt like they were all on his side. It doesn't feel like that anymore. And the players clearly very frustrated for how things are being played out in the media, which is a shame. And I mean, we talk about it on here enough. And look, we talk about it because it's a subject we need to talk about because we're a West Ham channel. That's what we want to talk about. But he's obviously frustrated with some of the leaks that are coming out from this story because there has been quite a few. So it's going to be interesting to see if he plays. I feel like there's probably too much on his shoulders at the moment, but who knows? I don't know Paqueta. I don't know. He could be in that training ground now, loving life and being really excited to play and puts this out of his mind. I struggle to believe that at the moment. I really do. Considering that statement as well, it's clearly a big problem for him at the moment. So, it's a real shame. And I think that's going to be one that Lopetegui's got to handle correctly. And it's important he gets it right. The only injury we've got is Nicholas Füllkrug. He's obviously out and we don't know when he's going to be coming back. It just feels like this reminds me of the Cornet injury, that mysterious injury, that one it's not too bad. He'll be back soon. No, he won't. Yes, he won't. Oh, he's back training, but now he's back in Germany now. It was in France for Cornet, but it's Germany now for Füllkrug. It just feels very much like that. This just feels like another crappy injury situation, and we don't really know what the problem is. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it's a case of that what the club have said, which was it's not the injury now, it's just his fitness levels need improving. But I'm just struggling with that because I think we'd seen him if that was the case. If it was just purely that he just needs to work on his fitness, I think we'd have seen him working at West Ham. But the fact we haven't seen anything of him and there's talk of him being in Germany doesn't indicate to me that he's just working on fitness. But I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. Right, this is on to the team. This is who I want to see play. I want to know your team and your scores for this. I think the defence is kind of writes itself. I'd be surprised if anyone's got anything different than mine. I'm going for Areola in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back, Todibo and Kilman as my centre-backs, with Emerson at left back. So Areola, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman and Emerson. Midfield, I'm making a change. I'm bringing Alvarez back in. I feel like he needs to be playing in this game because Tottenham they've got a dangerous front line. They really do. They've got a bit of pace about them as well. And I just feel like you need him in there. And I just feel like these sort of games is where you want him in there. He's tough and he bit no nonsense at Derby. And I want to see him in there, Alvarez. And partnering him will be Thomas Souček. I mean, Thomas Souček's been a bit of a revelation this season. I talked about it in a video not too long ago. His revival under Lopetegui so far, it's just been miraculous, really. He's become, he's gone from a player that many, including myself, thought was going. I thought once Moyes was gone, I thought Souček's career is over at West Ham. And now he's gone from that to being a player that's just so vital. I just like the Thomas Souček of old. It reminds me of when we first signed him. He's just in the right place at the right time. He cannot be dropped at all. He's been very good for us this season. So, yeah, Alvarez and Souček in the middle. I'm playing Mohamed Kudus as a number 10 for the central role. I just want to see it. The fact Tottenham play such a high line, I think leaves that gap. I feel like we need pace. And I feel like you've got someone like Kudus in the middle who can pick the ball up and he can run. He can carry that ball well. There's not many better in the league that can do it than Kudus. So I want him in that middle role. I really do. I've got a feeling he'll be out on the left, but that's what I think Lopetegui will do. I'd like him in the middle. I'm going to Bowen out on the right, Somerville on the left, and I'm going to have Mikel Antonio up front. We haven't really got many options up front. Danny Ings, I didn't fancy. I mean, we could have played the false 9 position. But no, I just think Antonio's over Tottenham. He raises his game. He likes playing Tottenham, doesn't he? And I think he'd be relishing this one. So, yeah, just a quick recap then. It's Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman and Emerson. Alvarez and Souček in the middle with Kudus playing as number 10. Bowen on the right, Somerville on the left and Mikel Antonio up front. It's a hard one to predict this. Really tough. I feel like West Ham have got a chance. And when I say a chance, even a chance of winning. And I mean that sincerely. Do you know what I mean? I really do feel like when it's Tottenham, it comes that we just seem to raise our game. This is a big moment. I feel like a big moment for Lopetegui as well. This is kind of, his first big derby, his first taste of what this fixture really means. And this would be a great opportunity for him and some of these big players as well that have joined the club to really cement themselves at the club. If Lopetegui can go and get a result, give it a bit of that to the West Ham fans afterwards. You know what I mean? It's sort of like you feel like, he's arrived now. We're and this would be such a statement result, wouldn't it? If West Ham were to go and get a result against Tottenham off the back of a win and then the draw, wasn't it, to Brentford, it would just feel like, God, you know what, we're in a bit of good form here. Then we've got Man United at home next, so you'd think, I'll fancy us there. This is a big, big game. And I do feel like West Ham have got a pretty decent chance, as long as Lopetegui gets it right. But that being said, Tottenham are no mugs. This is a tough game. There's no two ways about it. And they will need a response. Their fans will demand it after what happened at Brighton. But is that a good thing for West Ham? Possibly. Maybe that they're going to be a bit of nerves around Tottenham. There's an anticipation they need to get a result. And I think that might help us a little bit. So, but I'm struggling to say West Ham are going to win when I come to my prediction, but I'm going to say we're not going to walk away empty-handed. I think we're going to get a point then. I'm going to say 1-1 for this, but who knows? I mean, could this be a magical moment? I really hope so, because this is a game that could potentially get our season seriously up and running. Come on, you Irons.